Welcome in. It is Big Ten Today on a Monday. We are presented by Taco Bell, and we are absolutely thrilled to have you with us, Dave Revson and Howard Griffith. Yes. Game week is upon us.
Yes, this is a good thing.
The talking season is nearly over. We've got Big Ten football on Thursday, so we're 3 days away.
Yeah, I'm excited about this opportunity now. We've been the last month and checking out the programs, trying to see exactly where they're going to land. Now, all of a sudden, we can watch football games and talk about how they're playing.
A lot of mileage.
Yes.
A lot of tread on our tires.
That's okay.
Yeah.
19 years, we'll be okay.
19 years we've been going around to the camps, and this year, no different. That is our big story as we look back on the journey that was. We certainly hope you enjoyed it. 3 weeks, 18 stops. Hour-long special at each school. Howard hit 8 of them by my math. I was at 7 of those with him, 13 in all for me. So I'm guessing the one Howard enjoyed the most was Illinois.
Yeah, it was
since
pretty good.
I wasn't there. But the plan for the beginning of the show here is to share observations from those stops in case you missed them or in case you just have a bad memory. Man, you were looking good, Howard. I can't believe they didn't give you some reps.
Well,
there, yeah.
I got nothing.
And one of our observations was we really believed that the starting quarterback at Michigan would be Bryce Underwood. Yeah, that was it was an incredible observation on our part. And we were right, as it turns out. Breaking news here today, Austin Meek reporting it. But again, it was Sharon Moore in his news conference saying Bryce Underwood's going to be the starting QB, saying, quote, he's earned the opportunity. It was not given to him, adding he's going to make mistakes. That's what we're here for, presumably meaning the coaches, to help him through the mistakes. We just saw Michigan on Friday. It was our last stop. It is freshest in our memories. Again, it was very clear Bryce Underwood was going to be the starting quarterback. This is not breaking news. We said as much on our show. But for people who didn't see him, and again, if you're forgetting what Michigan looked like last year, they were a team that really couldn't throw the football. I mean, outside of the service academies, they averaged the fewest passing yards per game of any team in the country. So give people a sense of what we can expect from Bryce Underwood.
Listen, he is a dynamic player. I think he's going to be an unbelievable quarterback, but as Coach Sharon talked about it, or in his tweet and his message, it's going to take some time, right? He's going to make mistakes, but you talk about someone that just has all the upside in the world that really, I think, can really take this offense to the next level. I know there was a lot of comments about, okay, do they have a receiving core that can get it done? I didn't think the receivers were necessarily the issue. The fact that they didn't have someone under center that could push the ball vertically down the field was part of the problem. Underwood addresses a lot of those issues. He can make all the throws. He's dynamic with his legs. It's going to be fun to watch just how this team continues to develop, because I think they'll be so much better offensively because of him under center. Listen, I know all the hype is there, and he's one of those players that can really transform a university and a football program and the trajectory that they're on right now.
Number one prospect in the country, number one recruit in his class, regardless of position. It's one of those situations where I think that I kind of came into the offseason thinking that Mikey Keene would probably start the opener. Yeah. Mikey Keene was not at 100%. He was a limited participant when we were there at camp, and so maybe that accelerates the time frame a little bit. Keene coming from Fresno State, he's got a really nice resume. But again, it's clear that he's not in a position to start. It does become a real challenge when you have a true freshman under center. Yeah. But I think the philosophy here is, man, he is so talented. And I would say, like, as an addendum to that observation of what I thought coming into the preseason, I hadn't seen Underwood in person. You see him in person, Howard, and he's kind of awe-inspiring. I mean, he's just a huge guy who can make every throw. He's a great athlete. So, again, I know they wish they had Keene available, and they wish they had that quarterback depth right now. But given how talented he is, I mean, I know he got Oklahoma in week 2. See what happens, right?
I will tell you this. I remember the first time I saw Jeremiah Smith in the spring, right? It was clear that he was just different than everyone else around. And also what was clear is that his teammates had a great deal of respect for him. And how that shows up on a practice field is when your offense is out there and your defensive stars are up on the sideline watching him perform. That same type of mentality and that same type of thing is what you saw when you watch Bryce work. I'm not by any means saying that he's going to have the type of impact that Jeremiah had. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the talent level is there, the leadership is there, the work ethic is there. He's as good, as he's going to want to be, right? You just have to work through those mistakes. But I just think you're a Michigan fan, you're excited to have him under center. The games are going to be tough, but he's the type of player that really is going to transform what this university and this offense has looked like in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, again, obviously, look, you're a year removed from winning a national championship, but last year just didn't look the part at all. And again, a lot of that was quarterback play. Some of it, frankly, was offensive line.
Yeah.
I think that was part of it. The receiving crew wasn't great. I mean, they didn't have more than 750 yards combined from their wide receivers last year. So there was a lot that played into this, and you don't want to put it all on the shoulders of one young man. But man, he is incredibly talented. I mean, it was
hard
fun.
not to get excited about watching him.
No doubt. So that's kind of the big story at Michigan, and we'll see how it looks this week. They open with New Mexico, and then you go to Norman and take on Oklahoma. It's going to be a big year for Oklahoma after they had a down season a year ago. They feel like they're a lot better. I think it's going to be a really good measuring stick for both those teams. Let's move on to Ohio State. The defending national champs and the quarterback battle there got a lot of attention. I thought it was really up in the air, frankly, when we were there. I mean, Lincoln Kienholz gave Julian Sayin a run for this job. It was interesting to talk to Ryan Day. You know, he likened this to the late, unfortunately, very sadly, the late Dwayne Haskins against Joe Burrow, and said it reminded him of that battle. Dwayne Haskins was the superior thrower. I think Julian Sayin kind of fits in that mold. Joe Burrow, maybe a little bit more of an all-around guy. He goes on to win the Heisman Trophy, and Lincoln Kienholz a really good athlete. And so I kind of wondered, are they saying, did we make the right decision? Or, hey, should we have, played Joe Burrow? I mean, there were injuries. There was a lot going on. There was a lot going on.
Yes.
So it's an imprecise comparison. But what he was saying was, I think there could be two right answers here. Yes. And you've got two quarterbacks who are different. Yeah. They went with Sayin, who's the superior passer, and it feels like maybe that makes sense given how good the wide receivers are.
that could definitely be a big part of it, right? And when you have the talent that they have at the running back position, although they're newcomers and some younger guys, this is a team that I think when you look at them on the outside, they're just so good out there that you have to find ways of getting them the football. And yes, they're going to have to continue to develop this offensive line. I think they'll be just fine there, the way they've been developing them through the spring and the summer. But when you just have the weapons that you have, you want to find a way to be able to get the ball out to them. And I also think it comes down to this. Are you taking care of the football? We only get to see one of those practices. What happened in some of the scrimmages and some things like that? You need to be able to move the football team and understand what the assignment is ultimately going to be. And taking care of the football is always going to be one of the main priorities for this offense because they're so talented. They can't afford to be turning it over.
And we did see that a little bit. We saw one series of possessions, actually two possessions with Kienholz, where it wasn't great. Maybe a little bit looser with the ball, a couple of ill-advised throws. And to your point, again, I think it's hard. And again, we love to try to draw conclusions. And that's what we're here for. Right. And kind of our job is to say what we've seen, particularly for you guys, more so than for me. But for the kind of the more trained eyes, we parachute in for one day. And it's hard to know is what you're seeing totally representative of what all the practices were. But you could see kind of based on that day, that one day, it felt like Sayin did take care of the ball better and threw the ball a little better. And to your point, Howard, the receivers are so good. I mean, they're just so talented.
Yeah.
That
couple of tight end with that as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's it's an embarrassment of riches.
It is.
But this also may speak to, you go back to last year, right? And one of the things I thought when we watched Ohio State, they knew what they had in the backfield. And they knew that they were wanted to lean on those guys and get them involved. Maybe this year, because it's another year, you're going to have a new play caller with Brian Hartline. Right. Maybe it's an opportunity to go vertical with the football. Maybe they've seen enough throughout the spring, throughout these summer practices, that they're comfortable with maybe being able to throw the ball vertically more. They still want to run the football and control the line of scrimmage and run play action, but the ability to throw it down the field will open up so much more for that offense.
I can't wait to see them. And then Matt Patricia running the defense. I mean, this was a great defense a season ago, the best defense in the country by a few statistical measures. And now you bring in a guy who hasn't been in college in a long, long time. to run that D. It's pretty fascinating.
He was really excited to be coaching those guys.
He was, and he's great.
Yeah.
And you could tell he was really enjoying being in this college setting and being around the young people. It did seem like he was invigorated by it. So I think if you were to look at a lot of the prognostications atop the Big Ten, Michigan is maybe just off that top group.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Penn State. But then the next team that people were talking about is Illinois. And as I mentioned, I didn't get a chance to see Illinois. You saw them. I've certainly talked a lot with Brett this summer, and so I have a feel for how excited they are. But you went down there and watched them in person. You just think about how well they finished last year. They have 18 of the starters, I believe, back from the bowl game.
That's pretty good.
That's incredible in this day and age. It's amazing. So hats off to them for retention. Like we talk about how do you win in off season. We were talking about this on our tour.
Yes.
And there's two ways to win an offseason. One is going to the portal and get great players and recruit well. The other is to keep the good guys you have. And they have a lot of really good guys, and they kept them. So hats off to Illinois.
Yeah, I think when you look at what they've been able to do, right? And I think one of the narratives that's coming out now that people are talking about when you talk about Illinois football is, can they repeat? Can they continue to put another year together? Or have they got to the point where they've invented the game, as Coach Gennaro likes to say all the time, with teams that are in this position?
Right.
But when you watch them practice, this is a team that's still hungry. This is a team that still understands what's out there. And I think we both spent a lot of time around Brett Bielema and understand what he wants from his football team. He's got them coached up really well. So I don't know that if there is a hiccup early, it won't be because they feel like they're entitled. That's not going to be the case. They will have made some mistakes on the football field. But he does such a great job of getting them prepared. You think about having a veteran quarterback that's been in your system now for the third year. And yes, you're replacing some things on the outside, receivers on the outside, but they've gone into the portal and done some good things there and have some young players ready to go. You look at them defensively. They've got guys that can make plays. That secondary, I think, is going to be really one of the top secondaries in the Big Ten Conference, if not college football. So all the makings are right there. I think when you look at it and you've been around this program so long, it's about, okay, it's great. We've talked about it. Let's see what you got. And I think they have the leadership that can get them through.
Number 12 in the rankings, the highest they've been ranked in the preseason since 1990, which is known locally there as the Howard Griffith era. That's kind of how they talk. If you're talking to people in Champaign, they say, well, different eras. And Howard Griffith era kind of stuff was one of our best. I mean, it is. Like, the season tickets are sold out. I mean, the excitement level is off the charts. It's really cool to see because this is a program that every once in a while here over the last quarter century, you've had a good year. Haven't been able necessarily to follow it up with a good year. And it feels like maybe the worm has turned there and they're ready to go and turn it into a consistent winner because it's a program that has so much going for it. I know both of us it would be really fun.
It'd be good. I mean, as an alum, you'd be happy to see it, but just go out and play the games. Let's see what's happening because they've got a chance to make this a really special year.
Duke game is huge, week 2. That's a really challenging game. Remember, open up Big Ten play against Indiana on the road. So I think we'll know a lot here.
You'll learn a lot about this
few weeks in, but it's a pretty favorable schedule as well for the Illini. Indiana was the story of the year last year.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Ohio State won the national championship, so I understand that. But kind of the out of nowhere, where did this come from? I mean, Indiana, if you would have told us sitting here,
forget someone else.
Let's go back 365 days. Indiana's going to make the college football playoff.
Yeah,
looked at you like you were absolutely crazy. But now, I mean, being there, man, they were impressive. I feel like the areas that they needed to address, offensive line in the biggest games was a little up and down. They certainly addressed that. Man, we like Fernando Mendoza. I mean, he's engaging, but he can throw the football as well, so on and off the field. There's a lot to like in Indiana.
It really is. And so I find myself like, okay, people say, well, who's the Indiana this year? What do you think? What do you think? I said, Indiana's going to be
Indiana could be the Indiana.
Right, they could be the Indiana. And listen, they have to replace things, but listen, they have done such a good job. And I think the more time we spend around the program, we get an understanding that, talk about understanding know exactly what you want from your program as a head coach.
Yeah.
He's no nonsense, but he's very clear about what he wants and what he expects. And his players are responding to that. And I think that's outstanding. And when you think about what they're able to do, So this is a team that, again, when you talk about Mendoza, his release is so quick. It's about decision making, getting the ball out quickly, and making plays in the passing game, which they've got some receivers to be able to get that done. But I think you look at him defensively as well. Pons may be, it can make an argument to be the best corner in the Big Ten Conference and one of the top corners of all college football. And you look at his height, and the way he plays the game, he plays as if he's 6'2", 6'3". He's not. But his ability to play that way, he's not afraid of contact, will mix it up with any and everyone. And when you have players like that who understand what the assignment is, good things can happen. Now, this is a little different than last year because everybody's expecting it. But this is a team I think will be able to put up huge points once again.
I'm really excited. Pons is amazing. There was a red zone drill where he broke up 2 passes in a row.
He's unbelievable.
He's really good.
And Dave, just
really
so
good.
I'm watching him because I'm trying to see, okay, so what is it that allows him to make plays against a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver? He's got long legs, short torso, but his long arms, but his just ability to anticipate what's happening and what players are trying to do. Great eyes, great vision, footwork's unbelievable. He's special.
He is. I remember Signetti last year when we were at camp coming over to me and saying, that's the best player on our football team, pointing to Pons.
Right.
Now, in hindsight, they had a lot of really good players.
They had a lot of good players, right?
So you were splitting hairs, but he was in the conversation. He's really, really good. Yeah. Pack on Big Ten today. Dylan Raiola entered last season as the most highly regarded true freshman QB in the nation, and he delivered, throwing for more yards than any other first-year player. Obviously not a lot of true freshman QBs starting this day and age. Still impressive. Danny O'Neal, by the way, who's third on the list now at Wisconsin. This century, only Christian Hackenberg has thrown for more yards in year 1 in the Big Ten than Raiola did last year. That said, Howard, the offense still wasn't great. They were 103rd in the nation in scoring. But now you got Dana Holgerson as the offensive coordinator. I mean, Raiola looked really good when we were in camp, and then you get subsequent camp reports that he's looking even better. So do you think this offense will take that step this year? Yeah,
I'm excited to see it because I think when you start with Dylan, I think the biggest question was, okay, where can he grow? Well, he's matured. He's had a year under his belt in a program where everything was really put on his shoulders to try to take this program to the next level and continue to improve. But he had areas where he could improve, and I think we saw that at least the day we were there, and I saw him make, he can make all the throws. That's never been a question. But physically, he looked so much better. Mentally, and as a leader, he looked so much better as he was coordinating with his offense and talking with the other quarterbacks and wide receivers about what they're trying to do. So they should be better, no question about that. The run game and the offensive line have to do their part as well. They did an outstanding job by going and addressing their needs at the wide receiver position. So he has all the tools that are there. Now it's about going out and executing.
We didn't get to see Dane Key, but I know they're really excited about him. Highly recruited wide receiver coming out of Kentucky. John Butler replacing Tony Whiteman. That's going to be interesting. The defense has been really good. It was the defense last year, frankly, that kind of carried them a lot of the way. So that's an interesting coordinator move there, too, with losing Tony White out.
Yeah, that'll be important for them to show up, but I think for them it's going to be up front. When you talk about the back end of that defense, there is a lot of guys that have played a lot of football for the Cornhuskers, so I expect them to be pretty good. They have to continue to develop that pass rush and that line, the interior line, but I think they'll find a way to scheme some things up, at least early, to be able to take advantage of some opportunities there. But to me, the strength of this team is at the linebacker position and in the secondary.
And man, I like their schedule. They don't play a true road game until week 6. They only play one of the college football playoff teams from last year. So a lot to like about the Huskers. I think you can say the same about Minnesota. This is just a program that has become so consistent under P.J. Fleck. You just know what you're going to get. And what you're going to get is a really solid, well-coached team. They won 8 games last year. They'd actually had a little bit of a down year year before, and they bounced back. And I know they're really excited. They got a young quarterback in Drake Lindsey. It's interesting how, it's different now than it used to be, because there is the portal, and you can just say, we're going to go and we're going to get a veteran quarterback every single year. And that was what they did last year, and it worked out really well. But they're also at a certain point, you just have to say, hey, we believe in the young guy that we recruited. They believe in Drake Lindsey. I mean, we're going to see a number of those. Like if you look through the top 15 teams in college football, a lot of them are starting quarterbacks who haven't started before. So this is what it used to be like, what it wasn't like here for several years, and now I feel like we're getting back. But Minnesota, again, offensive line, I think is an issue. It was a real problem last year. They weren't able to run the ball in the way they wanted to. What did you see from that group, and give people a sense of Drake Lindsey?
Well, I think this is going to be an offensive line that's going to be much improved from where they were last year. Coach Callahan has done an outstanding job since he's been at Minnesota at developing. Now, every year you're not going to be able to put the best team or your best group out there. You're going to have some down years at times. You don't want to, but you are. That's just the facts. But Coach Callahan is an unbelievable offensive line coach, understands what they need to do. And Lindsey is, here's the thing, right? You mentioned it, you talked about having a young guy in your system. And the important part of that as well is he's the young guy that is not just looking over the shoulder saying, oh, things could be so much better. If I was at this place, I could be starting. An opportunity to sit and learn is a good thing at the quarterback position. There are going to be outliers every single year where freshmen are going to be able to come in, step in, and start. That's still not the position that most head coaches would want. They want that player to be able to learn, observe, go through some situations, and that's where Minnesota is. So I expect Minnesota to really have an outstanding year playing from the quarterback position because he understands what the system is asking him to do, and he does a great job of distributing the football.
And one of the players he'll distribute it to is Perich. It was fun just to be there and to see. He's got the multicolored practice jerseys, half offense, half defense. They stitched it together for him.
Yeah.
He was on the receiving end of about a 70-yard bomb when we were there. He's so talented defensively. We saw what he is. He's great in the return game. This feels like a player who could be one of
Gordy
the headliners.
Lockbaum. Going old school on your right there.
Yeah.
He is, though. I mean, when you think about it, and the coaches will tell you point blank, he's going to play offense. He's going to be a part of the return. This is not a gimmick. This is a football player. And this is probably one of the few places that he would be able to do that in Minnesota with P.J. Fleck. He's going to put him in a position to really be able to make plays. And that's the biggest thing. You're trying to get as many playmakers on the field and have your best 11. For them, their best 11 can play on offense, defense, and in special teams as well.
I like that you went back to, Holy Cross. Was it 1980s, 1990s? Gordy Lockbaum, I think he was on the cover of SI. Travis Hunter also did it pretty well.
Yeah, he did a good job. He absolutely did. Yeah, outstanding.
Pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, veteran coach there, P.J. Fleck, kind of, what you're going to get. Michigan State, second-year coach in Jonathan Smith. It feels like they've kind of quietly been going about their business.
Kind of like Coach Smith, right? He just kind of quietly goes about his business.
And yet we went there on Thursday, so it was our next to last stop, the penultimate stop.
Yes.
And you can see improvement there as well. And wide receiver group's better.
Yes.
I think the offensive line is an area that I observed this during our show. Like I would say there were ebbs and flows a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 years where you'd say it was okay. But the offensive line probably has been in decline for 10 years.
I think you can make that, and that's probably would be accurate. I think you look at the secondary defensively, one of the things that really slowed them down as the season progressed last year was not necessarily having enough bodies, and then some of the bodies that you had there were out there were breaking down toward the end of the season, so weren't able to necessarily play the scheme. But I think this is another one. You go back to Aiden Childs, and you think about, okay, how's he grown? And I think when we talk with him, and I know he mentioned this to you, felt like everything was on him, right?
Yes.
So there is.
Yes, he did say that off camera.
Yes,
right, exactly.
Everything is on him. So now he had an opportunity last year where he knew that he wasn't going to get pulled. And I think you have to give the coaching staff a great deal of credit to put turnover your offense and the mistakes that he made, but still understand that he's not going to get pulled. That he had an opportunity to grow from. And now the opportunity says, hey, man, you got to rely upon everyone else. It's just not about you.
Right.
So forcing the football, being careless with the football are some of the things that we should see him make some corrections. So with the talent that they have also amassed around him in some of the skill positions, you want to see him take that next step. This is one of those years, though, this could be a much better program. And I think they're going to continue to get better, but you just don't know with the schedule and how games are going to play out. You don't know what's going to happen there. But as long as they get into the fourth quarter and have an opportunity to win and aren't turning the football over the way they did last year, this is a team that will be in the mix.
They have a daunting schedule as well, to your point. But, yeah, the wide receiver is a huge upgrade. And Joe Rossi is such a good defensive coordinator.
Yes,
You just feel like he's going to implement his system. There's only one first-year head coach in the Big Ten this year. It's Barry Odom at Purdue. This is a team, I mean, the influx of players, it makes your head spin, how many new players there are.
Yeah.
This is part of where we are in college football, that you can overhaul a roster really quickly. The issue is that the portal spins both ways. And so they had a lot of players leave and a lot of players come. They have one returning starter in Devin McAvey, who's really, if there's a good guy to build around, it's Devin McAvey.
And let's be clear, if he didn't major,
right, his engineering is probably what kept him there.
Is very important, not only to him but his family.
Yeah.
You may not have him.
Yeah, it might. I don't want to say it's probably.
Exactly.
It probably factored in as to why he's still there. So there we are. I mean, we got a team that had the two worst losses in school history last year. You got a new head coach. They scrimmaged when we were there. It was fun to watch. I think there were some really good moments that Barry Odom felt good about. And there were some moments I know that you look at and you scratch your head a little bit. It's going to be a process.
It's a process.
But, man, I liked him. I liked his staff. Yeah. It feels like they're all on the same page with one another. And I'm just really interested to see where it goes. Interesting that Brown came back to be the quarterback and got named the starter. And so you do have someone who, like, flip on the Illinois tape, he almost won them that game.
Yeah. You think about this, and you mentioned the portal as we were getting started. Think about when going back 3 years, just how many names have gone through or they've put on the back of jerseys for Purdue guys that have come in as far as the portal is concerned, quite a few. But Coach Odom, I think he is the right person for this build. This is a build, not a rebuild, a build, because there's been so much turnover. But he has the expectations. He knows exactly what he wants. I think when you watch his coaches coach, they do an outstanding job of communicating and making sure that the players are in the right position. They just have to continue to build the program. And you can do that, as you mentioned, with the portal, but I still think it's going to be it's going to take some time.
Yes.
This isn't going to be a quick rebuild, I don't believe.
Now with this schedule, 9 bowl teams from last year, including both teams that played in the national championship game for year one. Welcome to the Big Ten.
Hello.
Barry Odom. How about some volleyball? The Danny Busboom-Kelly era at Nebraska off to a perfect start. Top-ranked Huskers took down third-ranked Pitt in 4 sets in front of a sold-out home crowd Friday to open up the AVCA First Serve Showcase. Andy Jackson career high 8 blocks to go along with 10 kills to pace the Huskers. It was Nebraska's 3rd top 5 win in non-conference play since the start of last season. Anna Connolly caught up with the winners.
There's a lot of maturity today, and the first game is always ugly, and there's moments that are tough, but I thought we stayed really steady and just trusted each other, and just proud of them, how they performed in big moments.
Andy Jackson led this team with a .348 hitting percentage. What can you say about her maturity and how her game has elevated this year?
She knows she's a go-to player. She knows she's going to have a lot of blocks on her every time, and when she knows that we need her to be great and we need her to kill balls. She's a huge part of our offense, and even if we know they're going to try to stop her, we're going to get her the ball.
What was the difference maker in set 4?
I think the difference maker in set 4 was honestly just our team energy. We really came together and we talked in the locker room. I think what we struggled with in the 3rd set was coming together as a team playing Nebraska volleyball. It was a little bit, just not us. It felt very jittery. It felt very tense. And so after the 3rd set, we knew that we didn't play our best volleyball. So we just did what we do in practice every single day, went out there, stuck together, leaned on each other, and obviously it helped us in the end.
10 kills for you. You led the squad with hitting percentage. Now, I got to say, a lot of those kills came off of serve receive. What can you say about the relationship between you and Bergen Riley and how it's elevated this year?
So good. But again, I can't take credit for that. We got to get the pass. Like as a middle, all I got to do is kill the ball. It's pretty, not necessarily easy, but I would say I can't do it without the passers back row, and then obviously without our setter setting. And we're getting such an awesome setter. And I was telling NCAA the other day, we have such a good open connection. So she can tell me what I need to do better, and I can always tell her like, hey, Berg, I need it higher, I need it lower. And it's always just kind, constructive criticism. You know, we speak to each other with respect, and I think that's really what helps our relationship. And so we can be super open about it and just go and hammer balls.
That is the plan. The Huskers kept it going yesterday, taking down number 6 Stanford, looking every bit the part of that number 1 ranking. Nebraska won in straight sets, holding the Cardinal to a hitting percentage under 100. It was their 6th sweep of an AVCA top 10 team since the start of last season, 2 of them coming against Stanford. More on just how dominant Nebraska was. You see some of those numbers I mentioned against the top 5. They won the second set against the Panthers 25-11. That is the largest margin against a top 5 team in 14 years. Nebraska back in action this weekend in Nashville, where they will take on Lipscomb and Kentucky. Not to be outdone, the defending national champs also had a heck of a weekend in Lincoln. Penn State took the brooms to 12th-ranked Creighton Saturday as part of that first serve event in a rematch of last year's NCAA regional final. Katie Schumacher-Colley's squad rallied late in the third to finish off the sweep. Florida transfer Kennedy Martin was outstanding in her PSU debut with 14 kills, her 54th career match in double figures. She chatted with Anna.
First match as a Nittany Lion. How'd it go for you?
It went really well. I think our team did a great job, coming in, very focused, and I was really proud of us, so yeah.
What makes this team special? I know that sounds ridiculous, but y'all are really special.
No, yeah, we're special. I mean, we got so many amazing girls who are, unshakable. One of our core values this year is defend. Defend the national championship, defend each other. We've got each other's backs all the time. Being able to stay steady in big moments is huge for us.
Well, and you saw players step up, Caroline Jurevicius was really vocal in the huddle. Jillian Grimes, obviously. I mean, how infectious is she on the court?
Oh my gosh, I love playing with these girls. They're so fun to play with.
More where that came from tonight. The AVCA first serve coming your way from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as the second-ranked Nittany Lions battle 14th-ranked Kansas, followed by number 11 Minnesota against 9th-ranked Texas A&M. Women's volleyball tonight, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Football is back, and so is the big board. The best way to see the Big Ten slate in one glance. 18 teams, 18 games in week 1. It starts with 4 Thursday night, 2 here on the Big Ten Network. Rutgers and Ohio U, followed by Wisconsin and Miami of Ohio. Minnesota and Nebraska also play that night. You got Illinois and Michigan State getting going on Friday. Then a dozen games on Saturday. We have Maryland, Purdue, defending Big Ten champ Oregon, USC, and Washington on our airwaves. Our Taco Bell countdown to kickoff, looking at a game that will garner the most attention nationally. Number 1, Texas. Number 3, Ohio State, meeting for just the 5th time ever, but the 2nd this calendar year. Remember, the Bucks beat the Longhorns in the CFP semis in January. It's just the 3rd ever regular season meeting. They had a 2-season series about 20 years ago. The road team won both times. This is a huge challenge, no doubt, for Ohio State, although it is interesting to note they are considered the favorite in the game. It's the first time that a number 1 team in this modern era has been considered the underdog in its season opener. It tells you just how good both these teams are. Obviously, Ohio State's the defending champs. Texas is considered the best team, at least by the pollsters right now. However, there's a ton to dissect, and we're going to get into it all week leading up to kickoff on Saturday. But what intrigues you the most here?
Yeah, I think offensive line play by both teams. I think ultimately they're going to see some outstanding play. You talk about Ohio State, who's putting a new offensive line together, going against a dominant defensive front. When you look at Texas, led by Simmons up front, there are just so many individual matchups in this game. The number 3 receiver for Texas versus the nickel, Lorenzo Styles, if he ultimately has won that job, which I think he will. They're just matchups there. Then you go to the quarterback position, Manning, Sand on one side. It's just so many things. The expectations of the quarterback position for both programs are at a high level that they both had outstanding quarterback play last year, But now they're expecting the quarterbacks this year to even raise that level, which is amazing to think about.
It is incredible. I mean, Arch Manning is considered the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. And we're talking about a guy who hasn't been the starting quarterback. Now, give him a ton of credit. And we've been talking about the way that the game has changed. Like for Arch Manning to be willing to be an understudy for a couple years speaks volumes about the kind of guy he is. I think you'd say the same about like Dante Moore. Starts at UCLA, says, hey, I'm going to go to Oregon. I'm going to sit for a year. I'm going to learn. I'm going to figure it out. Again, I mean, ton of respect there. But, man, that's a lot of pressure. And it's a lot of pressure for Julian Sayin, too. I mean, quarterback gets the bulk of the attention sometimes in these narratives. And to your point, there's all kinds of interesting matchups. But both these quarterbacks have a lot on their plate and a lot on their shoulders.
Yeah, both do. And you think about taking it a step further, look at the offensive coordinator or the play caller that you'll have at Ohio State, Brian Hartline. His second shot at being an offensive coordinator, I think he's really grown as a coach. He's an unbelievable wide receiver coach, unbelievable recruiter and developer of talent, taking another step, adding another title to his resume. How is he going to handle it? It's great that they're at home, get an opportunity to really have the fans behind them, but this is going to be a great matchup. Talking about the talent on both these teams is just through the roof.
It's amazing, and it's even more amazing when you consider they lost 26 players between them to the NFL draft. 14 for Ohio State, a dozen for the Longhorns. So these are talent factories right now. Give Steve Sarkisian a lot of credit. We obviously follow Ohio State really closely, but Texas is back. I mean, they're back in the national conversation. It kind of became an ongoing, every year we'd say Texas back. They're actually back. And so this is a huge matchup. It's going to be a ton of fun on Saturday. It's far from the only game. It's far from the only big narrative. Let's focus on Penn State. They are ahead of Ohio State in the AP poll. They're number 2. They get Nevada this weekend. Again, this doesn't expect to be all that close a game. Frankly, none of their non-conference games figures to be particularly close. This is a team that doesn't have that marquee game outside of the conference like Texas, Ohio State, frankly. So we're going to have to see when they get to the bigger games on their schedule, when they get to, for instance, Ohio State, which has been a huge one that they just haven't been able to surmount here in recent years. But the expectations for Penn State are through the roof. I think there are a lot of people who would tell you that they are the preseason favorite. There are certainly publications that are picking them to win the national championship. So talk about the mentality that you see for Penn State coming into all this.
They're not dodging it either. From your head coach all the way down, they are embracing the fact that they feel like they have an opportunity and should win a national championship this year. Let's go back a couple of years, and this is a program that, we go back a couple of years ago, we always talked about when once they went to the 12-team playoff, Penn State would have been a team that was always there. It was always a situation where it was just missing, weren't getting into that 14 playoff. But now they have that opportunity is there. Then you talk about what Michigan had when they won the championship. Ohio State had when they won the championship. They had a veteran-laden team, particularly in their leadership. This is what Penn State has at this particular point. So I think that's another reason why people are picking them. You look at the quarterback. You look at their backfield. You get arguably the best backfield, including the quarterback in all of college football.
You have 2 of the top 3 active rushers in college football. At running back for them.
And both probably will be 1 and 2 in the rushing list at Penn State.
Penn State,
So everything is there. They have an unbelievable defense that's really continued to rise, even though they've had the turnover from the coordinator position.
And now you hire Jim Knowles.
Exactly. But this is a program who is embracing that. So is the pressure on? Absolutely it's on, but as I always say, there's no more pressure from the outside than there is that they're placing on themselves from the inside. So for them to be able to take that next step, it's about winning a championship, and they have the opportunity to get that done now.
You said earlier, I think it's pretty cool. It really struck me in media days. They embraced it. They absolutely said, bring it on. This is who we want to be. That's why you come to a school like Penn State. To your point, made the playoff last year when everyone said they had to make it. They didn't just make it. They won 2 games.
Did a good job.
And so now can you take another step and play for or perhaps win a national championship?
Bryce Underwood will be our starting quarterback. I'll confirm that. He's earned the opportunity. It was not given to him. All the other quarterbacks had a really good camp as well. Really thought Jaden Davis has really come along and taken the next steps. He'll be the 2 behind him. and he's done a really good job. But Bryce took the necessary steps and really took the position, took ownership of his abilities and took ownership of the team and became a leader on the team and a guy that guys look to. So, just did the things the right way and used his skill and never tried to do too much. For a young guy, very mature beyond his years, and he's still only 18 years old. So he's going to make mistakes, but that's what we're here for. Coaches and players, we're all going to support him as he goes on this journey. We go on this journey together. So, but he's earned that job.
So Sharon Moore confirming what has seemed to be the case for a while now. Bryce Underwood, the nation's top-ranked recruit, starting at QB against New Mexico. Some other new starters in the Big Ten. Demond Williams, great down the stretch for Washington last year. He takes over full-time. Dante Moore, former UCLA starter, was Dylan Gabriel's backup last year, now the likely starter at Oregon. And Preston Stone, one of the best QBs in the nation 2 years ago at SMU before getting banged up and losing his job, now the starter at Northwestern. We talked a lot about Underwood earlier in the show, so let's get to a few of these other guys here, Howard. Moore in a camp battle with Austin Novosad. I think most expect that Moore will emerge and be the starting quarterback there. And we were kind of alluding to this earlier. It's an unusual path to be the top-ranked quarterback recruit in the country, to go somewhere and start. And then Chip Kelly left, and I think that's part of it. But then to say, I'm going to be the understudy, I'm going to go somewhere. I mean, Will Stein, like the last two quarterbacks have finished third in the Heisman. So they got a nice little thing going there at Oregon. But it's an interesting year for Dante Moore.
It really is. And you go back to his high school recruitment, was a little bit up and down, and you probably could have made the argument that there may have been people around him that, we're probably utilizing the system and probably didn't have his best interest at heart. But I'll tell you this, you watch him grow. You talk to people around the Oregon program that have watched him last year as an understudy, really immerse himself in trying to learn the offense, wanting to learn the offense, and now becoming very proficient in it. He is so athletic and so talented. He just gives them a different dimension under center. Now, you'll call the game a lot differently because you've got a first-time starter at Oregon in this situation that hasn't had the experience that the other two quarterbacks have for the last 3 years. But he is going to be fun to watch. He's going to be outstanding for this Oregon offense.
Speaking of fun to watch, Demond Williams, flip on the tape against Louisville in the bowl game is unbelievable. Yeah. I know they're really excited to watch him with good reason.
Yeah, it's just about putting him in the right position to be able to make plays, and whether that's getting out on the perimeter, whether that's turning around and doing a lot of play action, but he has to be involved, particularly early, getting him involved with his legs, getting him some of those quick throws where he can really gain that confidence and continue to gain that confidence in his game. But turning around and handing that thing off to Jonah Coleman might also be a bright idea.
My favorite Demond Williams stat, he threw 7 passes last year that went 20 yards or more down the field. He completed all 7 of them, and 4 went for touchdowns.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But, it's a part of growing, right? It's different when you're able to step in there and throw a couple passes. When you're the guy, that's a different way to prepare that you have to go after this game.
It is interesting to me how few people are talking about Preston Stone. You look at 2 years ago at SMU, he was in the top 15 in the nation in pass efficiency. Guys behind him, Quinn Ewers, Michael Penix, Drake May. He was fabulous, and he got hurt.
Yeah.
And they had a great season last year with Jennings taking over at quarterback. But Preston Stone can make every pass, Howard. He is really talented.
And one of the things we know when we talk about Northwestern football, when they have a difference maker under center, it changes everything.
Absolutely.
And I know they can make plays on the defensive side, but to me, this is a team that has to have the right person under center that takes care of the ball, extends plays, and really gets the fan base excited. And I think he's that guy.
Really good test right off the bat. They go on the road to take on Tulane on Saturday. Might be a little sticky down there in New Orleans. That's going to do it for us. Cannot wait as we continue to talk all week.